So let's say we have a car. Now, what are some of the typical properties of a car? Things like the wheelbase, fuel economy, engine type, fuel type, resale value. Now, if you were to handle this in a single program without any structure, you'd have to manually enter all these details of every single car. Car 1, car 2, car 3, and so on. That means writing out all the variables again and again. And as the number of cars grows, it becomes messy and time consuming. This is exactly where object-oriented programming, or OOPS, come in. Instead of repeating ourselves, we can create just one class called com. Inside that class, we define all the covered properties, wheelbase, engine type, fuel economy, and so on.
As you've seen for the exploration of classes and objects in the previous slides, let's get through coding. So, on every program, you might be sure that you want to be calling certain libraries. So, in C++, we also have the library include. String. Now, in this session, I will be calling class of car. Class car. The syntax of class. There you go. Class name, curly braces, and a semicolon at the end. And here you want to declare the main function. So what I would like to do is add two objects for this car. As I said, there can be multiple cars with multiple engine type, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy. And yes, there can be cars with same engine type but different resale value, different wheelbase, and the same fuel economy. So some attributes can be same and some attributes can be different. Also, I'll just tell you 3 types of data hiding. I declare these attributes of the class car as public. The thing you write here is known as access specifiers. Access specifiers. There are 3 types of access specifiers. Either you write in public, private, or protected. There are 3 ways of data hiding. You can use the access specifiers for this. Now, what if I give nothing? It is the private access specifier that dominates if you give nothing. So for the time being, I'll be giving public access specifier. So what happens is this attributes can be accessed outside the class through the main function. So now I need to create the objects, which is the syntax is car. Now the object name, car C1. So C1 is an object to the class car. And I'm going to give the same, and I'm going to go to C2. So these are the 2 objects of class car, C1, C2. Now I'll be accessing each attribute through the object. 1 dot engine type equal to string V8. C2 dot engine type equal to V6. C1 dot resale value be careful about the case. C++ is case sensitive. Resale value equal to 1, 2, 3. The same. I'll just change 3 digits. C1 dot wheelbase. C1 dot wheelbase. To dot wheelbase. C1 engine type. C2 wheelbase. Wheelbase can be float, right? So I will give float on both of here. Float, float. So I can add floating numbers 1, 2, 3.4. Not giving anything realistic, or not sure I'm giving any realistic values here. Just for the time being, 1, 4, 2. Then we have the fuel economy. C1 dot fuel economy equal to 12.6, and dot fuel economy equal to 10.6. Yeah, now we got everything here. So now we have entered the values. Now how to display this? To display these values of the class, of the attributes, engine type, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy, we need to add a display function. So display functions are generally void without any parameters. I need you to keep this in mind. Display functions are generally of void type without any parameters. So I'm going to give C out engine type, wheelbase. Maybe I'll give end L. End L is just a new line character, so don't worry about it. It just skips to the next line after printing engine. So the resale value, end L, wheelbase. Oh, sorry. Wheelbase fuel economy, and so I'll just give it an L here. Oh, I haven't had the resale value. Wheelbase fuel economy. Yeah, that should do it. And what I'm going to do is C1 dot display is the same, C2 dot display, and return 0 after the program. Let's try to run this. Yeah, there it is. Engine V8, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy, engine, resale value, base, fuel economy. So this is our first program. Now I want you to do careful about this using namespace std, this one right here. So let's try removing this. What happens? Oops. Can you see that string C out, everything went blank? And I can do this if like this. So instead of doing this for every single identifier, string, C out, end L, C in, everything, you just need to declare using namespace std. This will solve the problem. Oh, I have a typo here. Use it. This should solve the problem. Yeah, there you go. So I'll just try to give you a program try about a class in which, yeah, the syntax will be probably like this. Class. You can name the class, and you can add the attributes of the student. So how about this one? You take a homework about class students and you add the attributes. Okay, now let's see what happens if we change this public to private. Oops, we got an error. Engine type, resale value, everything, it is unable to access. So what's happening here? When we declare the access specifier as private, all of these attributes cannot be accessed out of the class, which is in the main function. You cannot access it directly to the main function. So what happens when you give this access specifier as private is all the attributes and all the functions go into the private section, which means you cannot access it directly outside the class. Like here in the main function, we have directly tried to access C1 engine type, C2 engine type, C1 C2, C2, C3 fuel economy display, because this all comes under the private section. If I write public, you see here, the display error has vanished, which means this can be accessed directly. So public functions can be accessed directly. However, keeping the access modifier public for all is safe? Of course not. This denies the very idea of data hiding that we have declared here. That's what makes it more safer. For the time being, you just understand the private means you cannot access the attributes and the functions outside the class. And for the protected topics, you will be learning it in the upcoming videos. So that's it for, as I said, keep up the homework. You can add the student details, name, age, marks, and you can call students like this and just add and try to display it like this. And in the upcoming videos, I'll also remember, if I leave it blank, it's just going to be private, as I said, because that's the default. If I access public, you can see here what's happening. Now, for the private case, consider I've made this private. What happens is all of the attributes cannot be accessed directly from the main function. So can I see a roundabout from here? I will add a function public, and this display function has become public, as you can see here. Now I will add another function in which the void car, the void values, and let you add the functions through here. So cin engine type, cin wheelbase, cin fuel economy, cin resale value. The cin values, engine type. So remember, cout displays the values and cin takes in the values. If you learn C language, cout acts as pretty much as printf, and cin acts as scanf. So this takes in the values. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. So let's understand the difference between cin and cout. Cout prints the values to the screen. Like I said, you got here engine resale value, and this is the actual value. This is the string that I told him to print, and this is the actual value. So what is cin? Cin takes the values from the user interface. Like I have to type in and it takes the values. Pretty cool, right? Instead, because every program we shall add user interface. Instead of adding the values like this, we can add user interface. So how do you do this? Simple. We just, since all the things is private, all these attributes are private, I cannot access it directly like this. So I declare a function public and I wrote in void values, and now, there you go. And what happens is I declared a class object C1, object C2 of class car. So there are two objects of class car, and C1.values is C1.values. This is a public function. Remember, I declared these two functions as public. Now, what happens is this is a public function. This is a public access specifier, and you have declared both the values and display into this public specifier. So these two functions are public, as of no doubt. And what happens is I called C1.values. So the C1 object is calling C1.values, which means it goes here. Now C1 has all these things. Now C1 will call the function values, and it start taking the values engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value. After that, it will try to display everything on C1. How about I take in every values of both of the objects and then display it accordingly? There. And if I run the code, you can type here. C1 what is engine type? Engine type is string type, V8. What is the wheelbase? Wheelbase is 123.3. And what is the fuel economy? Fuel economy is 12.6. Engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, and resale value. resale value is, I'll give 2331. Now the same thing, V6 engine, 2.231, any values, 23332. There you go. What I did is I called one object C1, another object C2, C1.values. Okay, when I declare the object C1, everything this comes in C1, and when I call object C2, everything of this comes in C2. As I said in the slides, we're going to create a class car, and we are giving it multiple objects, and each objects will have a blueprint of these attributes. So C1 will have all these things. So C1, they will have engine type, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy, and it will call the function values. See, this is an operator. Greater than sign is an operator. Less than sign is also an operator. And I said less than sign is using C out, greater than C in to take in values from the user interface to print values into the screen. So C1.values, it will take the attributes engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value of the object C1. And then what we are calling is C2.values. Now we will move from the blueprint of C1 to C2, and C2 will have all these things, and it will take the values because we have called the function values. So C in engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value, and it will take the attributes engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value of the object C1. And then what we are calling is C2.values. Now it will move from the blueprint of C1 to C2, and C2 will have all these things, and it will take the values because we have called the function values. So C in engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value, and it will take in all the values. And the next one is C1.display and C2.display. So what did they do is C1.display, engine type, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy, and from the blueprint of C1 and from the C2. So what's really happening here? As I said, why we are doing this? We have a class car, So this is a blueprint of pretty much every car. And what happens is when I declare a class object C1 and a class object C2, C1 will have a blueprint of all of this, and C2 will have a blueprint of all of this. So if you create n objects, all those objects of this class car will have a blueprint of all of this. Remember the syntax: class name, object name, class name, object name. So this is how it works. Now what happens is when I call C1.values, it will move to the blueprint of C1, which is having all of this. Okay, C1 will be having engine tab, resale value, wheelbase, fuel economy, and I will call the function values. So what values can be directly accessed from the main function because I have declared access specifier of values as public. So it shouldn't create any problem. So it will access C1.values, and what happens is C in engine type, wheelbase, fuel economy, resale value. Cin is an operator which will take values from the user interface, and Cout will print it out onto the screen. So C in engine type is going to take the value of engine type. The value I'm going to enter here, like I've entered here, V8. This V8 is going to store in the engine type, which is of the blueprint of C1. So C1, the engine type, will have a value of V8. Now the wheelbase has 123.3. So what's going to happen is the wheelbase will have a value of 123.3. So I'm taking each of the attributes values here, and what I'm doing is display. So C1.display, it will move into the blueprint of C1, and it will see the function display. So Cout engine type. Where is the engine type value? Engine type value has here, which was stored from the user interface using the values function. So you need to understand this very carefully. It's very important. The engine type value is taken from the private function. So this is how you can access the private values by using public functions, which can be accessed from the main. So this is how we do it. The engine type is going to take values from the engine and is going to print it here. And the same with the resale value, it's going to print here wheelbase, here fuel economy, here. Same goes for the C2 display. So this is how you can do. So before ending this video, try a homework of creating a class student and declaring everything as public first, and adding the attributes of students, which is age, name, marks, and everything. And just trying to print it like this. Also, create another program where you declare the attributes as private and declare the functions as public, and try to take in the values using the user interface, and you can print it out. Try to print it out. As always, do leave in the comments if there is any queries. I'll try to do my best. Like I said, This channel is completely free, no monetization, so there'll be no ads you can watch. So I recommend everyone to go through these programs and write your own program. And if there is any doubt, please do leave in this comment. And also that where I'm missing out by going through the programs and by doing your own programs. Also, just try to leave the doubts. Any doubts, I will try to reply it. This channel is completely monetization free, no ads. So I don't want to waste your time, nor you want to waste mine. So please do practice all these programs, as I said, and yeah, you'll get good at this. So that's it. Thank you for watching my video. See you in next video.